I'm excited today to talk about a topic that really changed my life when I realized that I could attach this label to myself, being an HSP. And an HSP is a highly sensitive person. Now, I want to describe what this means because if you are one or you're in relationship with one, you may misunderstand, misconstrue yourself or your partner who is the HSP. And I ran across this, I would say, in the 90s. A psychologist by the name of Elaine Ahrens um, coined this phrase, the HSP. She is one. Labels can really help us because they help us understand ourselves and those around us. It's not meant to pigeonhole you, oh, you're this or you're that. I believe it's actually meant to liberate you. Understanding that I'm an HSP liberated me because I made myself wrong. I judged myself. Other people judged me too. I couldn't stand strong in who I was because I felt so, I guess, frail, troublesome, high maintenance. And then when I ran across her book, it changed everything because I realized this is who I am. This is how I was born. And there's tremendous gifts in being an HSP along with, some of the trial, but you can greatly reduce the trial by changing your life, by shifting how you live to support your HSP-ness. So if you're an HSP, which I'll describe what that is in a second, and you're really struggling, you have high anxiety, that's a huge, huge component of it. If you don't live a lifestyle to support your HSP-ness. And you'd have to have a partner that understands your HSP-ness as well. So let's talk about what being a highly sensitive person is and what it looks like. A lot of people think, oh, does that mean that they're just sensitive, they're going to get their feelings hurt? No. My understanding of it, my definition, it has nothing to do with getting your feelings hurt. It has everything to do with our sensitivities with everything. Like stepping outside here, the reason why I love coming down here in the mornings is because it's quiet. I don't have to deal with people, noise. I was thinking about how do I describe this the best way as I was walking over here. And this is what I came up with. So take life, the average person, life, let's say life is at 0. That's our baseline. Life, our interaction with life, everything life has to offer. People, places, things, noise, all the senses, sight, sound, touch, taste. Did I get all the senses? So when I say sensitive, notice in the word sensitive is the word sense. And we have 5 senses. So an HSP has highly sensitive senses. And I would imagine that HSPs may differ in maybe the senses that most trigger them and cause issues for them. And it basically makes them not feel well at all. And it's not a condition you can really describe, but it would definitely cause anxiety, that kind of pain, depressive pain, because it's overwhelming. So a highly sensitive person, their senses are much more sensitive. They're much more acute. They're much more in tune. The way I like to describe it is if basically your average person, their senses, let's say the baseline is 0, a highly sensitive person, turn that dial up. I think it could be even to 10. So living life with all your senses at all times is dialed up. Let's say it's dialed up to a 10. And the average person, their dial's on 0. Think of the implications of that. Just take a moment to think about that. There's highly sensitive people out there living with their sensometer at a 10. And if you're not a highly sensitive person, you're a 0. Think of every situation think of how society basically runs, how that would impact that highly sensitive person. Let's connect these senses, all of our senses, on hyper mode and feeling everything much more deeply. We feel life at an amplified level. We feel the interaction I just had with a person, the interaction I just had with a tree, with the sun, with a plant, with my animal. We feel at a much higher amplified level. So I'm just guessing here that a lot of activists, a lot of environmentalists, a lot of people that, are for animals, things like that, I have a feeling a lot of them are highly sensitive people because they feel. They feel that animal. They feel that tree. And until you understand that you're an HSP, and most of the world is not, we're a gift because we wake up the world to care more because we feel so deeply. It's almost as if we have to turn down our care-ometer, because if we care too much, honestly, we'd probably just take ourselves out. We just, end it. And I think a lot of people do because it's so much to take all that in. So we have to really practice and learn how to manage all this feeling, this sensing, and caring. And so what we can control is how much energy we invest in that caring, I guess, is how you would say it. And you sort of have to learn how to turn off the caring because, we would probably take it to the extreme. So what a gift we HSPs are. We're definitely going to awaken people to the deeper things of life because we're feeling the deeper things of life. The thing is, we cannot turn off our sensing. We can't turn that off. So you have to support this high sensing that you have of all your senses. So let me give you an example of what I think would be an absolute nightmare is if I lived in downtown New York and I step outside as an HSP, all the sensing, all the stimuli that's hitting me. It doesn't mean we can't experience some of that because obviously we have to live. I go on vacation, but I have plenty of downtime in order to recoup from all of that. When I go on vacation, I take naps. Yeah, I'm not the vacationer that's going to run around and see everything I possibly can because I wouldn't enjoy that. That would not be enjoyable to me because I would be in overload, overstimulation. And when we are in overload and overstimulation, it's not that people don't recognize they're overstimulated or on overload, but there's also this desire to not be a burden to those around us. So we will stay in a conversation too long, stay in a situation too long where we are fried. We really are not in the capacity to do it any further. But there's many instances where you just need to because that's the situation. But the second we can just get into ourselves and get into our quiet space, our quiet alone without stimuli, and nature is probably the best way to do that. I'll give you some examples of what it's like to be an HSP that just gets absolutely frustrated. So I go hiking and camping with my boyfriend, and he invited me to go camping with a group of friends of his. Now, that makes me a little nervous initially because I don't know how other people camp. I go camping to get out of the city, to get out of noise, to have complete quiet. I go camping to hear the wind through the leaves of the trees, to hear the ripples of the water on the lake, to hear the birds chirping. I want to commune with life and nature. Other people camp and they think it's time to turn up their radio. Now, this is so offensive to me. Obviously, I'm not offended by them for doing it, but it's absolutely frustrating for me because we live in such a high stimulation world. And I just think to myself, you really can't just turn that off and listen to that plant grow? Yeah, I said that. Listen to the plant grow. Why can't you? Why can't you just shut it off and get to know you? Now, I'm not judging them. They're probably not an HSP like I am, and everything is amplified and on overload. And so they don't have the necessity to do that like I need to. Being in nature and communing with a tree or the ground or the grass is like communing with your very best friend. And it's honoring who I am as a sensitive person. So, unfortunately, I think if someone doesn't understand that they're an HSP, or maybe they do understand, but they don't live a life to support it, I think a lot of HSPs can turn to drugs and alcohol to suppress. So, think of it, you numb out with drugs and alcohol. So, it's going to take your HSP ometer that's way up high in 10 and it's going to turn it down and it's going to mute life a little bit for you. I see why people do that. The problem with me as an HSP, I'm also sensitive to things like alcohol and caffeine. I cannot do caffeine. No coffee for me. Decaf tea. Lots of water. No soda. I'm sensitive in every way you can imagine. Even alcohol. Every once in a while, I like a drink. About once a week. I love me a grapefruit Thai martini from True Food Kitchen. Okay, that's my favorite thing. And I can handle that. If I get crazy and have two, I don't feel well. I'm too sensitive to the alcohol. So I have this inclination that HSPs are also sensitive to anything that alters their body. So even though they may be prone to take, antidepressants or anti-anxiety pills, I think at the same time, their sensitive system doesn't like it. So they're kind of stuck. So that was me for many years. And I was a Xanax addict. And I didn't understand my HSP-ness. Then I did. And I still felt like I needed to depend on it to control, the anxiety that I would have due to this very stimulating world. But I decided to completely change my life, change my diet. I have to get my sleep, I have to get my exercise. Basically, I have to live the most intentional life. And that's not bad. It actually feels really good. So I thrive. So again, if you're with someone who's an HSP or you yourself is an HSP, my prayer is that you'll listen to this video and change your life. Do what you need to do because the gifts that come out of your HSP-ness are amazing. We create depth in life for people, and we're supposed to, I believe, shine that light of depth and understanding and empathy to the world. Now, you may have heard the word empath. I'm sure there's a lot of empaths out there that are highly sensitive people. They're probably one and the same, but I don't think you could just say an HSP is an empath is an HSP. I don't think that you could say that. But, take it for what it's worth, do your own homework on it, see what you think. I believe I'm definitely an empath, but I've seen that there's different types of empaths. We're all so unique, we're all so awesome. So our empathicness, I think, can kind of come in different ways. I know some empath friends of mine where they'll literally feel the pain the other person is having. Like if the person's having a headache, they'll actually have a headache. I don't experience that, but I feel the feelings other people have on a really deep level. So many times I have to ask myself, am I feeling my feelings or their feelings? And I have to work through that. But you can become an expert at it. And I honestly think, if you're struggling with this, get in touch with me or anyone else that's an HSP and get some help on how to create a life to support your HSP-ness so that you can thrive and offer all your wonderful gifts to the world. I think a lot of HSPs are the artists, poets, musicians. It requires this deeper way of feeling and sensing the world and then expressing that in those different modalities. So being in relationship with an HSP. I guess if I had to speak for my boyfriend, he's told me that he's never been one to just like normal. He likes unique. So HSPs are definitely unique. I believe the mate of an HSP must be patient and flexible. My mate is, thank God, because if he wasn't, it would be too hard. It would be too much of a struggle for me to stay feeling good and stay feeling healthy if I had to butt against him every time. So my boyfriend's super easygoing. He's a go with the flow kind of guy. He's super peaceful. He's super positive. He just has a positive outlook on life. So even my HSP-ness, he's going to see the positive of it. Sure, I'm sure there's some drawbacks, you know, but there's too much good. And the deal is, nobody's perfect. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. So you could look at all the strengths of an HSP and focus on those rather than the weaknesses. So things he has to put up with is when we go out, you know, on the weekends when we can actually make time to go to a favorite restaurant. When we get out, his favorite thing is to keep going. Let's go here, let's go there. I'm sort of a one-stop shop. I want to go to the restaurant and then come home. That's how I am. It's kind of like, you know, think of restaurants. Restaurants are typically really very stimulating. Think of the senses. Nothing drives me more nuts than having to raise my voice to talk to my mate. There's so much sensory stimuli going on. It's exhausting and I need to rest. But the cool thing is, my boyfriend always drives. So he drives and I get to chill and I get to rest. So let's say we were going to make another stop. At least I'm resting in the car. I can have quiet. He doesn't turn the radio on if I need it quiet. I'm a big one for sound for sure. Sound can just undo me. If I need it quiet and I can't stand the jarring chatter of commercials and you know how they're so loud, like think of it for an HSP, turn that up to 10. That jarringness that a normal person feels of a commercial is a 10 for me. So in my home, we mute commercials. Everyone knows this about me and they honor that. They don't grumble because that wouldn't be loving. And you know what? How hard is it for you to mute commercials and know that you're actually providing love and cherishing to your mate, to your HSP mate? So the other thing about HSPs, they're typically not going to be able to do things exactly when you want them to. If they're in a state of being overstimulated, or let's say they're deep into some creative expression and you want to yank them out of it, good luck. You know? So basically, my greatest advice is if you want to receive the incredible benefits of being with an HSP, you're just going to have to really take it as a challenge to be patient, be flexible, and have your own life, have your own desires, hobbies, things that you can do while the HSP needs to do their HSP-ness. And then there's tons of fun stuff you can do together. And if you are an HSP, please start to just love yourself. Start to embrace all the depth and insight that you can bring to life, to your relationships, to the world. We are needed. And if you're struggling, get help. Okay, hopefully I covered that well. And any questions, please let me know. I have an online school called Heartbreak University. It has courses and coaching if you choose to partake of coaching. But there's some online courses, communication skills, authenticity skills, which for the HSP would be so valuable, or the HSP partner, because you can implement these skills into life and make life more beautiful. I really don't understand why anyone wouldn't want to better their communication skills with their partner. That's such a huge issue. I have a course for it. I have an amazing course that will transform your life. So check it out. My next video, I want to talk about the HSS. Yes, there's another one. They're called the High Sensation Seeker. And you can be just an HSP, just an HSS, or both. And I'm both. And you will find out how literally, again, exhausting that would be. You would probably want to take yourself out of this world if you didn't understand that you're an HSP and HSS and how to live a life to support that. So this is really important stuff. I know it's kind of this awful topic to bring up, but suicide is really becoming prevalent. And maybe by understanding if you're an HSP or an HSS, this will help you know that we need you in this world, and let's get a handle on it. Let's support your HSP-ness and or your HSS-ness, which I'll talk about in the next video. And let's get you feeling good and doing your thing. You are important. You are unique. We need our HSPs. Make sure you subscribe and like. I'll try to be more consistent, putting some videos out, having some good teachings out there so everybody can do life better, because you know what? You create your life and relationships.